During World War II, everyone was fearful, but as I found out when I interviewed my grandparents, not everyone feared the same things. I interviewed my grandpa first, and I asked him 2 questions. The first question I asked him was what was the best and the worst part of World War II. Now, he answered that the best part was when the soldiers who had served in World War II came back to the U.S. and Canada in the celebration that happened after the war. Now, the worst part was the uncertainty of not knowing if there was going to be an air raid at night or an attack. And because they lived on the west coast of Canada, attack was very likely, and at night he would stay up in bed listening for the sound of airplanes or a siren signaling an air raid. An air raid attack was especially frightening because of what happened at Pearl Harbor and the merciless attack that the Japanese performed. Now, I then asked my grandpa what was there a specific aspect of World War II that scared him, and what he said next I found very interesting. He said that he was afraid of the people around him because his family was German. After they left the church on Sundays, they would have to board up the windows, otherwise the windows would be broken because people would vandalize the church because it was a German church. I interviewed my grandma next, and I wanted to see the difference between the answers that my grandma and grandpa gave to these 2 questions based on where they live. Now, again, my grandpa lived in Vancouver, Canada, on the west coast, and my grandma lived in a very rural part of Michigan. She lived in a very, very small town. Now, she said that the worst part of World War II for her was having her brother go to war and come back an alcoholic. He went to Japan to an island called Okinawa, and what he would do was he would go into caves and he would search them for Japanese soldiers. Now, somewhere along his journey there, he got injured and the army gave him a lot of morphine to kill his pain. He came back, and since he couldn't buy morphine, he switched over to alcohol, which then he became an alcoholic. The best part of World War II for my grandma was having him come back alive, which is a luxury not a ton of other people had. The next question I asked my grandma was there a specific aspect of World War II that scared her? She answered that the part of World War II that scared her was the food rationings, and because they were so isolated, she believed that they might run out of food. At this time, she was a kindergartner, so you can imagine at that age, it would be a very scary thing to go through. There was a lot of fear and discrimination during World War II, but not necessarily in the ways you would think.